Hello and welcome back to the Alteryx Weekly Challenge with me, Nick Bignell. This is challenge number 151 and we're looking at meta parsing. Really what that means, I believe, is that we've got to take a relatively similar but not quite similar enough data set that we get on a weekly basis and create a workflow that can handle the slight differences that we're seeing in the data set. And each week we get a new data set, so we've got to make sure that the workflow we build for the first data set also works for the second one. Okay, so what we have here is the start file, and if we look in here, we've got a data dictionary which has got taking the four-letter words 3, 6 and 5 and where they start and the length of them, which suggests that we want to use substring, I think, and formulas, because they look that substring uses start position and length as some of its identifiers. And then here's the data, so we obviously the first four letters would be jazz. Now if we look at the second data set directory, it's got slightly different. It starts with 8, 7, 9 and then 10, so it's got a different set of criteria that it wants to pull these things from, and obviously a longer data set of numbers, and we pulling the first one. So if it's 8 on the first one, it's going to be Pizazi, I guess. So that's what we want. The outputs we want to get are the the number of letters across the number of the letters in each word across the top, and then them listed below. Okay, so that means that we have to basically split this up. I'm just wondering how best to do that. I think we could basically just append the two together. I think we might need more space as well. Make that the right thing up. So we take that and move the whole thing out there. Okay, so let's just join these together so that we've got one against the other. Now this has got how many records? Like over 16 anyway, so we need to remember to do this append all, and that will give us 4 for each one, the starting position and the length and then there's the data. Okay, so that's good. So now we can work out the actual formula. So this will be the word, I guess, that we want to pull off. So we create a new column, we call it word, and it's simply going to be, so we're going to this going to string this substring. Okay, so this basically, here we can take the data, we can take the starting position, and we can take the length, and that should give us a preview of jazz in the first one. Yeah, so we now have the word in it, and if we go down to further down where we've got more than 4, we've got 5, it's pulled out the 5 from where it should be. So this is the last 5. So there you go. So that's good. So we now have, but it's not in the same format. We need to sort of transpose this around so that this is in the title, in the field name, and then these are the words coming down. So let's try doing that. Go across tab, and I think we can just have a look. So if we want the field name across the top, and we want the word across the bottom, concatenate it in case there are any that are. Let's see what we get there. Oh, yeah. So we now, you see, we've got this all. So what we actually need to do is break this out by the rows, by the records that we have in here. So I'm thinking we can do that by actually just bringing in a record ID here, and then when we do the transpose, we can then sort by record ID. Let's do that, and there we have it sorted. Now, one problem I can see immediately is that this has automatically ordered this in alphabetical order as part of this transpose. So it's not in the same order as this output. So it's 4, then 3, then 6, then 5, and here we've got 5, 4, 6, and 3. So I think we're going to have to order this as well. But if the tricky bit there is it's going to always put it in alphabetical order, so it needs to be alphabetically named, and then we get rid of it, and then we do it. So I'm thinking we can do that by again using a record ID here. And then we use a formula to rename the field. So field name, and we simply take the record ID and we plus the field name. Now that's not going to work because this record ID is a integer with a number, while the field name is a string. So we just need to change that in here. Make that a string, and that should now work. And now what we then do is get rid of the record ID, because we obviously have 2, so we want to get rid of 1, and that we will now have a field name that's got a number at the beginning of it. If we look in here, so we've got a number at the beginning here, 1 in this case. Okay, so then that means that across the top here we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's in the right order. We've got this record ID here. So what we can then do is, well, you need to get rid of the record ID. So we can do that straight off. Get rid of that, and then we can bring in a, where is it? Rename, dynamic rename. Now we've got 2 issues with this data. If we go back to somewhere we have the data, so we've got the number at the beginning, and we've got the underscores appearing in the where there should be spaces. So let's see if we can sort out those 2 things. So we want to do all of this, and here we want to replace or trim the first digit from this. So we do that by string. So we want to trim. Is it trim? Is it? Yeah. So we want to trim, but we need to tell it what we want to trim. So if we do, we want to bring in the fields, current field, and we want to put something in there to tell it what to trim, and we want it to take the first digit on the left. So if we take left, which uses a length rather than a specific field, again we put the current field in there, and we want to then take off the first digit. So let's see if that works. There you go. So we now have in the right order 4, 3, 6, 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, but we have these underscores. So let's use another dynamic rename to replace. So we do it for all, and we basically take a rename, so bang in here, we do a replace, and we want to replace, we use the current field, the target we're looking for is underscore, and the replacement is space. So if we run that, let's see what we get. And how does that match to this? Pretty close. For some reason it's dropped an S from there. Did it not actually have an S in it here? It did have an S. What's happened to the S? That is a little weird. Where did we lose that S? Slightly odd. No, is it? Let's have a look, see. If we increase increase this to 255. Okay. Let's run that and see if we get it back. There we go, that's better. We just run out of characters, so we added in a character. There you go, right. Okay, so that matches perfectly. So, let's see if we take that and then paste it here. Line it up just at my ODCs and then join those two up and run that as well. What happens here? So we have the same, yeah, we have the same in output B with the B data set. Brilliant. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.